All right, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome. We are here in glorious, wonderful Silverstone. It is time for the British Grand Prix, and what a race this is going to be. Just getting ready to jump into our short qualifying session here. Hello, everybody. Thank you so much for joining in for what is sure to be some very exciting racing action for the Midwest Formula 1 Division 3 Championship here, round 4 out of 12 at the Silverstone circuit. It is the British Grand Prix, and as we are here in short qualifying, it looks to be a little bit cloudy skies here. Let's get everything up and running, get all this wonderful stuff. Still seeing some dry tires here from the drivers. And for those who are not aware, my name is Fallen Monkeys, here back at it once again in the commentator's booth, ready to bring you some very exciting racing action here in qualifying, and then of course our 50% race and Silverstone, a fan favorite circuit, a driver favorite circuit, and definitely a commentator's favorite circuit, at least on my end here. I absolutely love this circuit to both race and commentate in. Always brings for some very, very exciting racing action, and here is going to be no different. We've got K-Dog on the screen here as she is taking us through an out lap, leading the way. We've got a Red Bull here a little bit further behind. I think that's young DJ CJ you saw warming up his tires right behind, getting the out lap set up, ready to go, just getting everything set to kick off their first flying laps here. Now, Silverstone, it is a very high-speed circuit, has a little bit of everything here, and very challenging for the drivers, especially in this section of the track that we're seeing K-Dog come through. Maggots and Beckett's is what it is referred to here as the wonderful people of Silverstone, UK, and I'm sure all of Formula 1 is aware by now, and it is definitely one of the more difficult portions of the track. Not to say the rest of the track is easy, it's just that is a spot that we should expect to see a lot of maybe some struggling from some of the drivers to keep it within track limits, but we'll ride on board here with K-Dog as she is starting a flying lap here with the Renault, heading down the straight, turn 1, full throttle. That's exactly how you have to take it. Slight kink going into turn 2, hard braking zone for turn 3. Cut the curb a little bit there, perfectly fine. Ride the throttle, don't bother upshifting there. Quickly through into turn 4, quickly on the power though. Gotta watch out, very easy to unsettle the car through that corner, heading into this the first of 2 DRS straights. Hard braking, you hit a late apex here coming into this corner. Once again, this corner 2, you want to start off very tight, go out, come back in to set yourself up for the line on the exit. And now, of course, down the old start-finish straight, heading towards Cops Corner, the start of the challenging portion. You can see very nicely taken there, no lift, 8th gear, full throttle, you've got enough. Down force, through into Maggots and Beckett's, into 8th, down to 7th, 6th. You can go down the 5th gear, quickly on the power, back up the gears, down the DRS straight, the long hanger straight here, approaching Stowe is the next corner. This very long right-handed corner you can take in 6th gear. Got to carry a lot of speed into the hard braking zone of the final few corners now, through along now the final corner. Quickly on the power, set yourself up towards the line. There you go. It's a 127.3 for K-Dog as she makes it through the first lap, and it looks like everybody here on track for the most part. You've got the likes of Pocket Rocket and VTEC opting for the medium tires, so trying a little bit of a different strategy here in qualifying compared to everybody else, as a Wild Maida sets a 126.6, GDB with a 126.4, so very quickly you've got some good times taking form here. Pocket Rocket with a 126.2 on the medium tires, a fantastic lap time for the Haas driver here. Looking to looking to ride that momentum, have a strong showing. It looks like Silverstone might be a very solid circuit for the Haas driver, and it's really showing here in qualifying. Cloglonger, that's a DNF here. I think there might have been a qualifying ban for Cloglonger for possibly retiring on track during the very chaotic Monaco Grand Prix. But actually, right as I say that, that is not the case at all. I stand corrected, because I see that that AlphaTauri parked at the Magus Beck's Chapel here. So it looks like Magus Beckett's Chapel, that corner section I had mentioned being very difficult, seems to have taken its first victim of the evening here, as Clogmonger down in 16th right now, and very well could fall down the order, possibly down to 18th if we see more lap times set. Now, I'm looking here at the order. It appears as though USGT, JG Fishing, he's got some intermediate tires on the pits, and he is coming out on an outlap with those intermediate tires. Not sure if that's the best idea going forward in this stage. There is a possibility that we could see some rain before this session is over, possibly into the race as well. Silverstone is one of those circuits that weather can definitely play a factor, and but it looks like I think JG Fishing is a tiny little bit early on those green-walled intermediate tires. Houdini in the Ferrari, though, he sets a blistering fast 125.7 on those soft tires. So he's looking to have a lot of pace here around this circuit here, around Silverstone. Unsurprising, Houdini has been the bane of consistency here in Division 3. Of course, last week in Monaco was a little bit of a write-off for him. Had a fantastic drive, but unfortunately, due to maybe some of his wrongdoing, but also just caught in the wrong place, wrong time, unfortunately ended up DNFing at the end of that race. Retiring in the pits, very much so not happy with the way his lap set, so you know he is going to come out with a vengeance here this time around at Silverstone. And another driver that's looking to, contrarily to Houdini, ride the momentum that he had from last week is the Alfa Romeo that's on your screen right now, the Best Pones. He was actually your winner last week in Monaco, and if you haven't seen that race, you've got to go check it out. It was a chaotic event, fantastic to see. It is up on the MidWest Formula 1 YouTube channel, so definitely something to go check out after this race, of course, because this is going to be a fantastic one. But the Best Pones up into P4 right now on those 2-lap-old soft tires, and like I mentioned, looking to ride that momentum from last week, maybe get another strong showing here, gain a bunch more points here in the Drivers' Championship, and I think so is his teammate Kaz, for that matter, as they both came 1-2 in the Monaco Grand Prix last week. We'll see what they can do here in Silverstone, and I think this is a great opportunity to transition into the Drivers' Championship. Now, last week we saw it was the likes of Houdini that was leading the way. This week, though, we've got a new leader in the Drivers' Championship. It is the man in 6th position here, Subtle But Whole, who is leading the Drivers' Championship with 62 points. Houdini, though, he is very close behind with 60 points. And Chief Braids, who is currently on an outlap right now, as you can see in the Williams, just starting an outlap here on those softs. He's in 3rd with 55 points, with VTech in 4th with 46, and it appears as though the Best Pones is rounding out the top 5 with 42 points, but right behind Young DJ CJ 41, Kaz with 36 points, Chunky Corgi with 34 points, GDB 33, Racing Ginger 31, so you can see very, very close battles through the entirety of the field so far here after 3 races. So loads of points up for grabs. Drivers are really going to be going as hard as they can here to try to maximize their points, try to build a couple gaps here, and see if they can maybe extend some leads or jump a few positions here in the Drivers' Championship. Now, more times are being set here as more drivers are crossing the field, crossing the line, I should say. Spaceman, though, in the Ferrari, not the Ferrari, the Mercedes, excuse me, he is not having a good time here in this stage. It looks like it's an invalidated lap, but I think he's coming around now, getting a fresh lap over to start with. Across the line he goes, so we'll keep an eye out on Spaceman and see what he can do. Guitar Maniac looks to be on a lap right now, just a little bit further ahead in the Renault. We'll see what Guitar Maniac can do, and even Chief Braids now approaching the end of the first DRS straight into this corner section here, into Sector 2. So we'll stick with Chief Braids, at least for the moment, riding on board with them here. I'm not seeing any rain falling, so it's looking to be, for the most part, a dry qualifying here with 7 minutes and 40 seconds to go in this short qualifying session. And Houdini is your pole sitter right now, just leaving the pits to start a second out lap, looking to improve his time, solidify his position on pole, especially with the likes of young DJ CJ in P2 lurking in the shadows not too far behind, and even Pocket Rocket, who I think is right behind young DJ CJ and actually right behind Chief Braids here on track. As you can just see that blip there, I think he is on a flying lap right now himself, looking to improve on that time he had set with the medium tires. I do have the fitted tires up and running. Here comes Chief Braids, it's second fastest, and there we go, it is Pocket Rocket who does go fastest now. He takes provisional pole with a 125.728, so just inches out the time set by Houdini. So Pocket Rocket absolutely feeling it here around Silverstone. Did not have the race he was hoping for around Monaco. That is for certain. I think he did have an early end, falling victim to the very wet conditions, but definitely looking to bounce back here, and is putting up a solid effort in qualifying, and we'll see if he can keep that up and challenge this pace, and maybe bring it to the likes of Houdini, who's been fairly dominant for a lot of this session once we do jump into the race. Guitar Maniac, that's another invalidated lap for him here, so that is not ideal for the Renault driver, as he is going to have to go around again. Mopower Cowboy, he is just starting a lap right now for the Racing Points. So let's stick with Mopower Cowboy and see what he can do as he's heading through in the Sector 1, approaching the DRS straight. There is a Ferrari, it looks to be taking a bit of a funky line. I believe that was It's Heavy, who is currently on an in-lap right now, so just allowing the quicker drivers on their flying laps to go through. You love to see the courtesy from the drivers, as it essentially allows everybody, I should say, to have a much better racing experience. And it keeps everybody safe, keeps everybody clean. Now, through all of that, Chief Braids, he set another fastest lap. It's a 125.762. Pocket Rocket, though, he went even faster on his second time around. A 125.580 is the new pole position time. Now, as Mopower Cowboy is heading around the circuit, let's quickly switch over to Houdini as we're riding on board with the Ferrari as he's coming through into Sector 3. A final few corners to go now. The left-hander followed by the two right-handers, I should say, quickly on the power for the final corner, though. Across the line, is it going to be faster? Yes, it is. It's a 125.463 as we're down to the final 5 minutes of qualifying, with Houdini now taking pole position right back with a fantastic lap, and we're seeing here the lap times really starting to fall here in the latter stages of qualifying. Mopower Cowboy, that was a 126.7, good enough for P12 for the Racing Point driver, but might ideally be looking to set something maybe just a tiny little bit faster, break into possibly the top 10s, and it looks like this is the case here, as he's 2/10 faster here through Sector 1 on his next lap around. So no, but that is not going to help at all, as a little bit too quick on the power coming through the exit of that corner, and that is going to be an abandoned lap for Mopower Cowboy. And I gotta be honest here, that is something I'm surprised I haven't seen more of this far in qualifying, because I know personally myself as a driver, that is something I am very prone to do in my practice here around Silverstone, and I know I'm not the only one to just try to get on the power as quick as possible, especially in qualifying. But it is a high risk, high reward. This is why the drivers are paid the big bucks to do what they do, to channel the car, find that sweet spot, push it to the limits, as some would like to say. But unfortunately for Mo Power, Cowboy just pushed it a little bit too far, just a tiny little bit. But here we go. Kaz FSJ, he is on a flying lap right now. We've been given the onboard for quite some time. Down to the final 3 minutes to go here in qualifying. And just as we're going through here, watching Kaz take a flying lap, let's quickly go over the Constructors' Championship. So, the McLaren team, that is Chunky Corgi and Subtle But Whole, they are leading the way in the Constructors with a total of 116 points. Now, this is where things get absolutely bonkers. Tied for second place, I should say, we have the Haas team of Pocket Rocket, and it looks like Money Matt is the two Haas drivers, equally with 87 points. So tied with the Haas team is Red Bull Racing, and that is VTech and Young DJ CJ, who set a monster lap to take provisional pole position here with 2 minutes to go. It's a 1:25.1. They are tied for second, though, in the Constructors is the Red Bull, and equally the Alfa Romeo, that is consisting of Kaz, who is on your screen right now, who goes 14th fastest, and the Best Pones, riding that fantastic race in Monaco last week, as I had mentioned previously. They are now tied for second with those points. So it's fantastic to see a three-way tie, and then in a slightly distant fifth with 71 points, it is the Mercedes F1 team, and that is JG Fishing and Spaceman currently occupying those Mercedes seats. So we'll see how this all plays out and how this can get shaken up here through the course of this session. But with a minute and 15 to go, Young DJ CJ finds himself on pole, but we'll see who can possibly push and set a better lap. I don't think Houdini is going to be coming out. I don't think he's going to have enough time to set one more lap, though. So I think it's going to come down to Pocket Rocket and possibly Chief Braids here, as they are both just starting a flying lap now as we are into the final minute of qualifying here in our short qualifying session, appearing as though the conditions are getting maybe ever so slightly better, a tiny little bit sunnier here as we've hit the end of qualifying, so this could possibly mean a nice dry race. But we have seen surprises in the past, so we will get to it when we get to it. But first, we got to figure out who's going to start on pole position here. This is where things really start. Young DJ CJ, the provisional pole sitter, he is in P1 right now. Houdini is in P2. So they are occupying the front row of the grid in this moment in time right here. But you see on your screen, it is Pocket Rocket, who is heading around on a flying lap right now. He's got a few corners to go. Where's the Haas driver going to put himself here as we have hit the end of qualifying? Show me the time. What's it going to be? It's going to be second fastest. This is a 1:25.4 for Pocket Rocket, so he knocks Houdini down to third. He goes up into second. Next up around the line, it's going to be Chief Braids in the Williams. What can he do as he is heading towards the line as quick as he can? Is it going to be pole? It's a 1:25.3, so he goes second fastest. Pocket Rocket down to third, Houdini in fourth. GDB is on a flying lap, and I think this is K-Dog that's about to cross the line on low fuel mode, so not going to be an improvement. That is the end of K-Dog's qualifying. It's Heavy, has a disqualified lap, so he is not going to improve. It's all going to come down to GDB, I think, unless the Best Pones, who is a little bit further ahead, can pull a lap time out of his behind here. Let's see, he's going to cross the line. I don't think it's going to be a pole position time. Up to 7th fastest though, but here comes GDB. He's about 3/10 faster on his time. He does improve by nearly half a second, but it's not quick enough to promote himself up into the top 4, so he will be in P5 to start the race. Unless, oh my goodness, unless Guitar Maniac has something to say about it. But no, that's going to be a pit stop for Guitar Maniac, so that's the end of his qualifying. Let's see, JG Fishing is heading through Maggots and Beckett's, not using any DRS though, so I don't think he's on a lap right now. Definitely not on a lap when I'm looking at the lap time for him. So I think JG Fishing is going to dive into the pits as he is the last remaining driver here on track. There you go. You see him taking the pit lane here, and that is going to do it for our short qualifying session. It's going to be a Red Bull who is starting on pole position. Young DJ CJ with an absolute monster lap, a 125.131, very close to breaking into the sub 125s, which is very impressive here, but not the case, but still fast enough for pole position. And we are going to see a Williams of Chief Braids on your screen line up on the front row of the grid right alongside him. So for young DJ CJ and the Red Bull in this battle to break out of the three-way tie for second, that's a fantastic way to start here with pole position. But of course, the job is only half done. Now it is time for the main event. It is time for the race here. It's one thing to qualify, but it's another thing to get the victory here in the race, especially around Silverstone. But the order, we have young DJ CJ on pole, Chief Braids in second. Row 2 will be Pocket Rocket and Houdini. Row 3, GDB, and it's heavy. The fourth row will feature the Best Pones and K-Dog, with Knuckles and a Wild Maida rounding out the top 10 on row 5. Guitar Maniac in 11th, with Subtle But Whole in P12 as the lead McLaren, so not the qualifying the McLaren team was hoping for here, I don't think at all, as we'll take us through the rest of the grid order during the formation lap once we get an idea of what the bottom 10 drivers are going to opt here for their free tire choice. Of course, if you're in the top 10, you need to start on that tire you set your qualifying lap on. If you're in the bottom 10, you get free choice of tires. But that said, everybody is going to have free choice of tires because, as mentioned, I was talking about it this in qualifying. It looked like it was clearing, but here we go. Wake up on Sunday morning here at Silverstone. Surprise, surprise, it is raining in the UK. Who else is shocked? Not me, that is for sure. But it is going to be a wet start of the race here at Silverstone as Pocket Rocket hits the ready up button here. And it appears as though he was the first to budge. We will be kicking off the formation lap, and then of course the race here around Silverstone in about 13 seconds. So I will be back in just a few moments. Going to take a quick sip of water to then take us through the formation lap and the 5 red lights. Alright, so here we go. It is time for the race here. It's going to be 26 laps around Silverstone. But of course, we've got the formation lap, and you can see here as I put on the detail, everybody has opted for the intermediate tires. Unsurprising here, given these wet weather conditions. It appears as though, as wet as it is not wet enough. There's not enough standing water for it to warrant the full wet tires. So it's going to be the intermediates. They have a bit more grooving in them than the soft tires and the dry tires, I guess I should say. Slick tires, if you will. but definitely not nearly as much grooving as the full wet tires to disperse the water from the racing line. But here we go. It is young DJ CJ starting from pole position as you see him warming up those tires, with Chief Braids in second, Pocket Rocket in third, Houdini in fourth, GDB in fifth, It's Heavy in sixth, The Best Pones in seventh, K-Dog, she's in eighth, Knuckles in ninth, and a Wild Maida rounding out the top 10 here. Subtle But Whole in 11th position as the lead McLaren, with Mopower Cowboy in 12th. And it appears as though there was a little bit of a moment here coming through the exit of that corner for some of these drivers. VTech in 13th, USGT JG Fishing in 14th, and Kaz rounding out the top 15. Spaceman in 16th, Chunky Corgi, the second of two McLarens here in 18th. Clogmonger is in, Chunky Corgi's in 17th, because Clogmonger is going to be in 18th, with Guitar Maniac in 19th, and Money Matt rounding out the grid order here in P20 as they are a little bit further behind the pack. You can see young DJ CJ just taking his position on the grid. Meanwhile, the back few drivers, they're just approaching Stowe as it is right now. So that's going to be a long time for these front runners to sit on the grid, and those tires are definitely going to cool off just a tiny little bit as we wait for the final few drivers to take their positions so we can go through the 5 red lights and the start of the race here at Silverstone. There is the onboard here from Money Matt. As you can see how wonderful, how atrocious these conditions are looking here. And for Division 3 drivers, they're probably thinking, give us a break. They had a wet race here in Monaco last week, and now we get another wet race here around Silverstone. But we got to trek on, as we can see, for 26 laps around Silverstone, up to 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 red lights. And the lights are off and we are racing here, and it looks to be a pretty good start from everybody. If anything, a little bit cautious as they're approaching turn 1. You gotta be careful here. You can see some drivers going wide, very wide here for some of these drivers as we head down the grid order, battling for position, a couple side by side, and that looks to be a might be Guitar Maniac in the background there, having a bit of a moment, as you can see, very difficult, a little bit of a tank slapper for an AlphaTauri. I think that was Knuckles that had a moment there. We're 4 wide nearly as we're heading towards the first DRS straight here, what would normally be DRS straight. More yellow flags in the background. Oh, and there's a big crash here heading down the DRS straight. What had happened? We've got a full safety car for good reason. As you can see, there is the marshal waving that yellow flag as VTech is off to no man's land. If we jump on board with VTech, you can see that's an Alfa Romeo. I think that was Clogmonger with a bit of a moment. Guitar Maniac going very slow. Oh my goodness, stalling the car almost. I'm not too sure why he's slowing down here. He's parked on track. What is going on with Guitar Maniac as he is just parked on track here? And that is very dangerous. You got to get that car up and running. But I think Clogmonger had a big moment. Yes, as that AlphaTauri just has no front wing whatsoever. And there we go. That's Guitar Maniac disqualified from the race. You hate to see that, as that car is going to pull over. I'm not too sure what happened there, but that was a big accident here very early on lap 1. Thankfully, though, we've got a safety car that's coming out, so for those who were involved, they can take a pit stop without losing too much time. But my goodness, what a big moment that was here to start the race. A big crash heading down the first DRS straight, or what would normally be a DRS straight. On your mini-map, that's right around where the safety car is parked right now. That yellow car on the mini-map, that is right around where the accident happened. If we ride on board here with young DJ CJ, we'll see if we still have any remnants of some pieces of car, maybe some bits of front wing here. As you can see, there is the safety car. We've caught up to it. Does not appear to be the case, so the marshal's doing a fantastic job of picking up all the bits and pieces. You love to see that. because that is how it works in this game for sure, and it totally isn't because they just despawn once nobody's there. But I like to we'll keep the realism involved, and you can see VTech getting a wing change. GDB just leaving the pits now. So is the likes of Clogmonger, Money Matt. K-Dog got involved in an incident, and she had to take a pit stop. Down 9 positions into P17 right now. Once the grid order gets sorted out, we'll see GDB and VTech fall down to their respective positions. They are definitely not P1 and P2. P1 is Young DJ CJ. Chief Braids, though, 5-second penalty for collision with It's Heavy. You don't like to see that. I think the best Pones might have had a bit of a moment, though, as it looked like there was a position change under safety car, which only happens when a driver has a spin, has a possible moment on the track. But we are here on lap 2, I believe, under safety car. Yep, lap 2 of the Grand Prix. We lasted about a sector before the safety car came out in these intermediate conditions. The stewards might take a look at this at that incident here down the hangar straight to see what exactly happened. It was very hard to tell from the angles we got here in the booth, but I'm sure the stewards are going to take a look at that here and try to determine the cause of it and see if there's any extra penalties to be handed out. Now, It's Heavy, though. He's having to take another pit stop, or having to take a pit stop, I should say. Very, very costly, as I think he got caught up with that severe collision with Chief Braids under the safety car. So I think it was It's Heavy who got the worst of that possible front wing change, and GDB is taking another pit stop here. Not too sure why GDB is taking a second pit stop. Is there possibly some wing damage for the Racing Point driver here? We'll quickly stick with him as he is pulling into his pit box right now. It appears to just be a change of tires. Not too sure why there was that second pit stop, though, as he took one just one lap ago, did GDB. So we'll have to see how this plays out. I think trusting the strategy, though, is the way to go about it. But under lap 3, under safety car here, and it is still Young DJ CJ who is leading the way in the Red Bull. Pocket Rocket, though, in second, looking to put some pressure, and so is Chief Braids for that matter, with the Best Pones and Houdini rounding out the top 5. So, the likes of Kaz jumping up 6 positions, Chunky Corgi up 7 positions from the start of the race. They are essentially the biggest gainers, the biggest movers here, at least moving upwards. The biggest losers, I should say, or the biggest movers downwards are the likes of GDB down 14 positions, and It's Heavy who are down 11 positions here in this race. And it's very, very interesting here. Let's see, is the safety car possibly going to come in this lap? The lights are still on, so I think we might get one more lap under safety car, as we're just going to have to wait for GDB to catch up. But at the end of lap 4, we should be going back to green flag racing to start lap 5 here of the Grand Prix. And we'll see how this all plays out for everybody once we do get back to green flag racing. So here we go, starting at lap 4 under safety car. Young DJ CJ leading the way, and hopefully by the end of this lap we can go back to green flag racing. And I will be back in just a moment. Take another quick sip of water while I have the time here to then just jump right back, and I can take us through what is hopefully going to be the restart here under safety car. Alrighty, so I am back here I took my sip of water. We are hopefully just about ready to kick off the restart here by the end of this lap here to go back to green flag racing, which is what everybody wants to be seeing here for the race, and we will see how everything plays out. Now, I'm seeing some chats jump in, and silly me not having my chat opened up so I can follow along. Apologies for that. For everybody watching at home, chatting in the stream. I've got the chat open now though, so we can talk away and maybe get a little bit of insight. I know some of the drivers like to leave some input in the chat and give me some much needed feedback, some much needed knowledge here. Looks like there's a little bit of possible on-track racing under safety car. Nice little side-by-side action here between It's Heavy and Clogmonger, and there we go. I saw the message in the bottom left of the screen. Safety car coming in this lap. We will be going back to green flag racing here to start lap 5 out of 26 here, and it's going to be young DJ CJ who is leading the way, and crucially not leaving all that much room here as the safety car is heading into the pits. Not looking to waste any time. He just wants to get a move on here. Possibly has these tires set up and ready to go. But here we go. It is time. Back to green flag racing. Let's do it here. So it's a good start from young DJ CJ. Pocket Rocket as well. Chief Braids, though, was caught napping a little bit here as he's a little bit further behind. Already a second and a half behind the top two here under the restart. So definitely did not have the restart he was hoping for. It looks like K-Dog is losing out on a few positions here. That was It's Heavy and Money Matt getting ahead of the Renault driver as she is down to P16 and currently being pressured here by Clogmonger for that P16. Let's keep an eye out on this battle. What's going on? USGT Fishing going a little bit slow as Money Matt and It's Heavy working their way up the grid here. Some nice overtaking down to the back straight. It's Heavy and Money Matt, though, a nice little side-by-side battle here for what is P13. Money Matt still has the advantage here. Gotta watch out. Oh no! Oh, a big moment. Can he save it? What a save here from It's Heavy as he's nearly moments away from sending that car into the gravel, into the wall. There's some more wing damage there, a little bit further behind. As you can see, It's Heavy getting away. Clogmonger and JG Fishing now are having a little bit of a battle as they were heading through Cop's Corner. A little bit further behind, USGT Fishing GDB is putting pressure. Oh no, there's contact there. A big moment. VTEC at the brake check. K-Dog now having to slow down behind that too, as it's all reactionary in the wet weather conditions. So lots of racing on the edge, lots of pushing. Here comes VTEC now as he's heading towards the outside of GDB, heading towards Stowe. They're down the hanger straight into Stowe. The outside now goes VTEC. Is he going to get the move to stick? It looks like he does, as that's GDB diving into the pits. He is going to have to get that wing changed once again. I don't think he's going to be too happy about that with the collisions there. But as that is another pit stop. But now you can see here it's K-Dog putting some pressure now on VTEC. Let's quickly take a look back at the leaders. We can see here young DJ CJ is still leading the way. The top two of young DJ CJ and Pocket Rocket, they have absolutely run away here with the lead here. Chief Braids kind of left in the dust, or left in the spray, you could say, here under these intermediate conditions, and is crucially being pressured by the best Pones. We've got more battles here. That's VTEC and JG Fishing changing positions as there was an overtake down the straight here. A little bit further ahead, you can see Subtle But Hold and a Wild Maida through Maggots and through Cop's Corner, heading towards Maggots and Beckett's, I should say. They're all trying to chase down Knuckles, putting pressure now on the AlphaTauri driver here on lap 6. Kaz a little bit further behind, lurking in the shadows. We know that he and the best Pones have some solid racing here in the wet, and so does Houdini for that matter, who is only a second and a half behind the best Pones for P4. But you can see some very close battles. Money Matt and Spaceman exchanging positions. It's Money Matt now up into P12 as he is getting ahead. K-Dog now ahead of USGT GT JG Fishing as they are battling here to try to work their way up the field after this safety car restart. But it's still Young DJ here leading the way. Pocket Rocket now falling down to about a second behind, but they're still keeping pace with one another as Chief Braids is in a distant third and trying to be pressured here by the Best Pones. Now the Best Pones, he's got to nail his exit here. It looks like Chief Braids doing what he can to get that exit and essentially accelerate, not allow himself to get overtaken. It's Heavy now getting ahead of Spaceman, as I think Spaceman is struggling here under these intermediate conditions for grip. I don't know if he's feeling that car all too well. Further ahead though, a Wild Maida, he's now putting pressure on Knuckles. Let's see what this battle is going to prove as they are heading towards Cop's Corner. We're riding on board with a Wild Maida line there to better set yourself up for Magus and Beckett's. And but that car might have been a slight little loss of speed there in the process. You can see getting close. If Maida can nail his exit down this hangar straight, he might be in position here. Charging down, here we go. It's not going to be close enough though, as it's still going to be Knuckles hanging on to that P6, but for how long though? As you can see, Maida putting a lot of pressure, but without the help of DRS, it is very difficult to overtake here around Silverstone. These cars generate so much dirty air, you've just got to get the run. But speaking of the run, it almost looks like Maida has it 2.5 tenths behind Knuckles here coming through turn 1, but unfortunately unable to close up enough here to get the overtake. He's nearing in the corners, but just can't get that one exit he needs. And you can see how tough these conditions are. Knuckles though, nearly a tank slapper as he's taken that round. Mo Power Cowboy, he's falling down a grid position as Money Matt makes an overtake as he is now up into P11. Let's take a look. Maida, unfortunately, not closing up to Knuckles as much as he was hoping for here, but now Settle But Whole is caught right back up as he is now putting pressure on the Williams driver for what is going to be P7. So let's see how this is going to play out. It's sorting itself out here just a tiny little bit. The top two have created even more of a gap between themselves and Chief Braids. So I think Chief Braids is just struggling here in these intermediates, probably hoping for a dry race, but unfortunately did not get what he was hoping for here, like we saw in qualifying. But it looks like as though here on lap 8 you can see some charges happening. Is Settle But Whole gonna gain enough to make an overtake? No, came close, but just not close enough to snag that position. Here we go. Young DJ CJ sets a fastest lap, responding very quickly to the fastest lap that was set by Pocket Rocket not too long ago here in this Grand Prix. We are starting lap 9 out of 26. It is still 19 runners here on the grid. Oh no, my screen is disappeared on me. Apologies for that as I try to get this resolved. I will still try to take us through the battles here. And oh no, this is not good at all. Is it? There we go. We got this sorted out. Apologies for that. My HDMI cable got knocked out and the screen just went black. But it does not appear as if I missed all that much here. Still, Young DJ CJ leading the way here. Pocket Rocket now falling behind. 2.7 second gap now. So I think I did miss something. Pocket Rocket must have had a moment, had to save the car, and that's a big time loss to Young DJ CJ, who can now maybe just breathe a tiny little bit easier here on lap 9. And in a distant third is Chief Braids. But the Best Pones is trying to close up, but that gap is staying right around 1 second here in this stage of the Grand Prix. So, you can see here how difficult, how challenging these intermediate tire conditions are for every driver here on the field. Not the most ideal conditions to race in, but it does separate the best drivers, or the men from the boys, the women from the girls, to say, if you can say that, to But here we go, a nice little side-by-side battle. Here comes VTech on Spaceman. It looks like Spaceman has still led the way. VTech, though, going the long way around. Spaceman now down in 15th position. And it looks like Clogmonger got very, very close, but wanted to get involved, but just was not able to catch up in time to truly get involved in that battle. So he will remain in P16 right now. And let's see a little bit further. We've got It's Heavy chasing down Money Matt, and they're both chasing down Chunky Corgi here for a top 10. Ooh, close comes It's Heavy. He's got to get around here. You can't go through the driver. A little bit of wibble wobbling from both of these drivers here as they're battling for position. We've got a yellow flag here in Sector 1. Looks to be a Mercedes. That might be Spaceman having a moment here as K-Dog is now closing up. Chunky Corgi going deep. It's Heavy though once again. This time, can he save it? Yes. No. He's facing the wrong way. You gotta watch out here. Ooh, this is scary. Here comes VTech now. Thankfully, he is far enough away to not make it too much of a shock, but It's Heavy. He saved it once a few laps ago, but asking to save it here the second time around was just a little bit too much to ask here for the Ferrari as he gets back on track now, but loses a lot of positions now as he is in a lowly P17 as he was charging down right around P11, P10, but a subtle but hole. He put a pressure. He chucked one down the inside. He licked the stamp and sent one down into the inside of Wild Maida, but Maida was definitely well aware and he completely defended that the way he should. Took the outside line, found the traction, and hung on to that P7. Subtle but hole, though, remaining in P8. And crucially, very clean from both drivers there in these wet conditions, these intermediate tire conditions that have proven to be very difficult for even the best racers here in Division 3. But here we go. It is lap 11 here. Young DJ CJ, he's been leading the way through for the entirety of the Grand Prix thus far. This lap is absolutely no different. Money Matt now back to this battle. Money Matt is chasing down Chunky Corgi. Let's ride on board very quickly here. Chunky Corgi taking a very deep line around the exit. Here comes Money Matt taking the inside line. He gets the inside invited to him, and you can see they're side by side here, heading towards Cop's Corner. Chunky Corgi, though, he finds the traction with that outside line, so he hangs on, but he's forced outside through Cop's. And is Money Matt? No, it's still Chunky Corgi leading the way. And Chunky Corgi, though, he is going to lead the way through Magus and Beckett. This is not a place you want to go side by side. It is not going to end well, but once again, going deep on the exit of the corners is Chunky Corgi. But it looks like those outside lines are working an absolute treat for the McLaren driver here in the full wet. As this time, though, Money Matt gets the overtake done before the corner, and he gets up into P10. Chunky Corgi, as you can see with that camera angle, he is right behind the Haas of Money Matt down in P11 right now. Not ideal for him specifically. With this battle. Oh, what's going on is young DJ CJ. Oh, he must have had a moment here as he is down in P4 now, being overtaken by the best Pones. So that must have been that yellow flag in Sector 1. Young DJ CJ with a costly mistake. He was leading the race here for the first 11 laps, but we have a new leader here on lap 12. After that mistake, it's Pocket Rocket in the Haas, who is now leading the Grand Prix with Chief Braids and the best Pones, both promoted one position up to P2 and third position, with the young DJ CJ down in fourth and now is recovering just a tiny little bit here as he is going to try to work his way back up the field. So a bit of a costly mistake for him, but he still has loads of time to catch up. Maybe a pit stop, maybe a possible just a nice run on another driver is what he's going to need. Just a few very, very solid laps could be all it takes to get himself right back into this battle here between the top four that are all separated by about a second now. Subtle but whole, he gets ahead of a Wild Maida as the McLaren goes up to P7. Maida down in P8, and you can see Kaz in 9th on the charge trying to catch up. He's close with DRS. This might not help, but Crucially, I'm looking here at the screen. There's still a bit of spray as Money Matt gets ahead of Kaz. Kaz, though, he's taking a pit stop. I think he might be pitting. He might just pit for dry tires here, because that sort of is going for my point that you can see there's no rain falling anymore. Let's switch over to the tires here that the likes of Kaz, Corgi, what are they going to put on here as they're going to take their pit stop? We've got soft tires here to start lap 13. Kaz putting on a set of medium tires. Now, I'm honestly more with Chunky Corgi on this. I would put on a set of soft tires to try to go to the end, because here around Silverstone, it is not a track that is all that bad for tire wear. Chunky Corgi, though, oh no! What happened to Chunky Corgi? He leaves the pit. Oh no! A big accident here, as we can see. It's Kaz is getting a penalty for this, as Chunky Corgi just has nowhere to go as he is out of the race. It's Calamity in the pit lane, as there we go. Now they can finally leave, as K-Dog is out. Kaz is out of this race here. Calamity, big accident, big moments here as we're down to 16 runners. That's unfair, game. You can't be doing that to us like that. You can't be, K-Dog and Kaz must be absolutely fuming due to no part on their own, trying to get a strategy advantage from everybody. Now they find themselves out of the race, as Houdini is now taking a pit stop. Knuckles is staying out, though, and so are the leaders for that matter. Spaceman, though, he puts on the hard tires. It's Heavy is on the medium tires, so we're seeing a big change in order now as more and more drivers are going to pit off of these intermediates onto the dry tires. But I still you gotta feel for K-Dog and Kaz, as they actually got a great jump here. But look at this here. We've got a huge battle here between the leaders. Chief Raids, the best phones going side by side. What a view from young DJ CJ's camera angle here. Pocket Rocket, though, you might want to look behind and see this battle, but not for too long, though, because look at this. Best Pones, is he going to get a run on Pocket Rocket? Here we go. Pocket Rocket defending down the inside, but Chief Raids, look at Chief Raids, though. Oh, no. And that's the Best Pones taking a half spin here. He's got to get back on track, and now Knuckles is going to get ahead. Hard to tell, was there maybe contact between the two, or was that just the intermediate tires showing they're done for? Hard to tell from that angle that we had, but Chief Braids came out of absolutely nowhere, and he takes the lead of the Grand Prix here on lap 14, but he's probably going to take a pit stop now, I think, as I'm seeing no spray whatsoever off of those intermediate tires. There we go. Young DJ following. Pocket Rocket following. Knuckles is going to follow. Subtle But Hole now as Money Matt and Maida switch positions. Subtle But Hole taking a pit stop. The Best Pones pitting. Money Matt pitting. We've got more yellow flags here, as that's Clogmonger trying to get back on track. You can see it's definitely still soaked as far as the grass is concerned, but I think a lot of drivers feel that there's a dry line that is starting to form here on track, so it's very possible that that spin out might not have been from contact, but just breaking away from that dry line, and or just breaking into that dry line and just having no grip here. But you can see just about everybody now on the set of slick tires, as only the top three, that's Money Matt, Maida, and VTech, who are sticking on the intermediate, probably because their teammates had priority with the pit stops here. As you can see, it is essentially the teammates of what you can say the top three runners. And look at this, Houdini, though, he's now found himself right back in this as he's chasing down Pocket Rocket, and they've got a nice little gap here, Pocket Rocket and Houdini, with Chief Brace once again a little bit further behind in third, having to get some heat, but a lot of drivers opting for the mediums. Now I'm with Houdini, and I'm with young DJ CJ. Given the amount of laps left, those soft tires can definitely go to the end, and the fall off of the soft tires really isn't all that bad here compared to other circuits, at least in my experience. They've got very similar pace, but I guess a lot of drivers feel that in these specific conditions, possibly, the medium tires, having that extra tire wear, can possibly allow for more pushing and better tire wear near the end of the race, whereas they might feel that the soft tires are going to fall off just a little bit too much. But here comes Houdini now, and what happened here? Oh no, that's Pocket Rocket out of the race. Where is that car of Pocket Rocket? You can see it there on the right hand side. There it is. What happened to Pocket Rocket? It looks like he just lost the car. Possible contact there as he was maybe trying to defend on Houdini. But that's a gift for the for Money Matt, VTech, and Maida, as they can pit under VSC and gain a lot of positions here, as they're definitely putting on the soft tires. As like I said, we have a virtual safety car here. Young DJ CJ, though, through all that, he is now back in the lead of the race after all of that kerfuffle, all of that calamity. We are down to 15 runners now with 10 laps to go in this Grand Prix. This is staging to be a fantastic finish as we are back to green flag racing. Some yellow flags in Sector 3. Some drivers getting some drive-through penalties. You hate to see that for speeding under virtual safety car. Here comes Maida, though, on Knuckles. Those soft tires looking to be an absolute treat. Well, nice little move down the inside, though, for Maida, as he is up into P5. Now trying to chase down Money Matt for P4. But Houdini now, he is a little bit of a distance behind young DJ CJ, the Red Bull driver. A 3-second gap ahead of the Ferrari now, as we are on lap 16. And we'll have to see, can Houdini, is he going to have enough in the tank to try to catch up to young DJ and possibly take the lead of the race, try to take the victory here? Or will we see a Red Bull on the top step of the podium? We will find out here sooner rather than later. But Chief Braids now is catching right back up to Houdini, as Chief Braids is now starting to get some grip in his tires. But what happened here? We've got another virtual safety car, as Houdini is taking a second pit stop here. Why is Houdini taking a pit stop? I have no idea. And question 2, what brought out the virtual safety car? I'm a little bit confused here, as let's try to go through the order and see. GDB looking to be alright. Spaceman, does he still have a front wing? We'll have to take a look and see. This is going to be a better move here. It looks like he still has his front wing. That's a front wing still. That's a front wing still. That is still, it looks like most of these drivers have a front wing. Houdini, though, just out of the pits on the soft. Money Matt is out of the pits on the softs as well, as we are back to green flag racing. So it looks like now, as US GT Fishing gets a speeding in the pit lane penalty, that is not going to help at all. DRS is back enabled here as we're on lap 17. Very possibly, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe Houdini got a drive-through. But I'm really not sure there, as I thought I saw him take a pit stop, like so many other drivers are doing here. That's a front wing change for Clogmonger, as that's not going to help at all. Subtle but Whole, though, back to the racing action. He is chasing down Knuckles. He is looking to try to make an overtake here. Lost a little bit of speed out of Cop's corner, but closing right back up here through Maggots and Beckett's. Look at the speed that Subtle but Whole is carrying here in P5 as he's chasing down the 4th place runner, the AlphaTauri of Knuckles, with DRS, with ERS down the inside he goes, and he does get the overtake done, and we are back under virtual safety car. What is going on here? I'm just gonna stick on board with a driver, because, and I'm not 100% sure about this, but I do know I saw this in one of my actual league races that I drive for, where it was around Canada, and there was essentially a little bit of a wall clip from a driver on the Wall of Champions here, back to green flag racing. But that Wall of Champions clip made a piece of front wing that spawned on track, and that bit of front wing did not disappear. It just did not despawn. So what ended up happening is that seemingly around the same place every lap, we had a virtual safety car that came out for the game trying to get rid of that piece of front wing. So possibly that is what's going on here. I'm not sure though, as Maida coming out of the pits. The best Pones with the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on the soft tires. He's up into P7. And VTech now chasing down Knuckles as Silverstone Hole finds himself in a podium position now. Let's see, is VTech going to close up enough to maybe take that P4 away from Knuckles. You can see Houdini losing a position here under pit stops as he is just leaving the pit lane with the help of DRS. Here we go. There's a little bit of weaving. Another virtual safety car here. And this is getting a little ridiculous. I think this is maybe an issue possibly caused from maybe a bit of front wing from Pocket Rocket's car, that once DJ CJ is getting near it as the lead lap car, is bringing out this virtual safety car. So it's not an ideal glitch, but it is something that we are going to have to deal with here. Thankfully, though, there is a limit on the amount of virtual safety cars and safety cars that we can see. I think maybe we'll see one. I think that might actually be the last one, though, now that I'm thinking about it, because we had the safety car, and we've essentially seen, I believe, 4 virtual safety cars now. So I think regardless of what happens now in the last 7 laps of the Grand Prix, once we go back to green flag racing, that is going to be it. We are going to be at green flag racing till the end, but the virtual safety car is still out. Now we are back to green flag racing. What's the damage done? Not too much for a lot of these drivers. They've gotten to learn here to not try to time the virtual safety car, risk taking a penalty, risk taking a drive-through, which has absolutely shaken up the order here. An absolute treat here. And to be fair, so has the pit stops for soft tires. But here we go, VTech now very close to Knuckles, but through Maggots and Beckett's, that is not a place to make an overtake here whatsoever. VTech knows it, I know it, and he is going to wait until he heads down the hangar straight here. You can see he's trying to close up. This time around, there's no VSC that is popping out. So I think, as expected, we are heading back to green flag racing. Ooh, that might have been very close to a warning for VTech if he didn't get one there. But right behind Chief Braids, Houdini now starting his charge. He gets ahead of Spaceman to go up into a top 10 position, as now he is going to have a 5-second gap. He's going to have to try to close up VTech. He sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix on those soft tires, so he's flying in that Red Bull. So the Red Bulls are driving an absolute treat of a race here so far, as they are P1 and P5 on track. Mopower Cowboy, though, that's a 132.6 of the fastest lap according to the stats table there. But you can see a big charge. Oh no, what happened here? As that looks to be possibly GDB who might have had a moment there. As no, that's Mopower Cowboy. But you can see here, I'm trying to keep an eye out here, because we got this 3-car battle that was Subtle But Whole, VTech, and well, what was the Best Pones. But the Best Pones is now very far behind, as it looks like Mopower Cowboy continuing to struggle here just a little bit as he's getting back on track. Here comes VTech. Is he going to try it? No. Thought about going side by side through Maggots and Beckett. But once again, he knows very well what could happen. That is not going to end well. He's going to try once again down the hangar straight. They both have DRS. He and Knuckles do. Because Subtle But Whole is within a second as well. So we've got a 3-car battle here, possibly for a podium position here between the end of the race, especially if Subtle But Whole can be forced and taking a penalty. Knuckles thought about going down the inside. Here comes VTech though down the inside. He's going to try a switchback. Is he going to get it to work? No. Doesn't have the traction to make the switchback move work, but now very close. Down the inside he goes. Side by side, heading towards turn 1. How is this going to play out here, as they're still side by side now, and it is going to be the Red Bull of VTech who gets ahead of the AlphaTauri. VTech up in P4, Knuckles down in P5 now, and they are both going to try to chase down Subtle But Whole still, who has now built a 1-second gap. Let's see, no DRS though now for VTech, as that is not ideal. He's going to have to try to make up some time just out of pure pace here, or possibly into the braking zones. but in the final 5 laps of the Grand Prix, we've got a battle on our hands here, and it is the drivers of Subtle But Whole, VTech, and Knuckles, who are all having a little bit of a battle with one another here, trying to see who is going to get that podium position. It's Heavy, though, meanwhile, a little bit further behind as we have a yellow flag as the Spaceman gets overtaken by It's Heavy. So the Ferrari's now at P11 and P12, or P10 and P11. Clogmonger is trying to get back on circuit. He's not having the best race here around Silverstone. Not one to remember here, but still in P15 though. Fantastic driving. Nonetheless, to get this P15, keeping it clean, and that is much easier said than done given the conditions we've seen here around Silverstone. But VTech, though, meanwhile, up into third. He is in a possible podium position as Subtle But Whole is down in 4th place. But VTech, though, he's got a penalty that he's going to have to watch out for. So if I switch over to them, VTech has a 3-second penalty, so he's going to have to build a gap now. He's going to have to build a 3-second gap to Subtle But Whole, or else he might risk losing that position. Subtle But Whole, meanwhile, he's just got to make sure that he can keep that gap to within 3 seconds, and he can have that podium for himself. 4 laps to go here in this Grand Prix to do it. How is this all going to play out as Mopower Cowboy? Oh no, what happened here for Mopower Cowboy? Let's quickly jump on board here. Oh no, and that is around the exit of the final corner there. We'll get another view from It's Heavy trying to get out of the way there. That is Mopower Cowboy's racing point parked right on the start-finish straight here, almost on the line, as I think just got a little bit too angsty on the power here, similar to what we see in that other corner before the old start-finish straight. There's a theme here as you're heading towards the line around Silverstone, it seems. If you put too much power on that car, you're going to lose it. And here, very close to the end of the race, we've got 14 runners left in this Grand Prix. Now, Knuckles chasing down Subtle But Whole. The gap between VTech and Subtle is up to 2 seconds now. So 3 laps and 1 second to build. But VTech has got to make sure to not take a penalty himself or another one, or else all that work could be undone. But he might get some help, though, as now Knuckles is chasing down, hoping for an overtake. He's got DRS. Let's see, much more speed than Subtle But Whole. I really don't think the mediums were the way to go here in this stage, but it looks like Subtle But Whole making them work, and they both are on the mediums actually, so I stand corrected. They're making it work. Subtle But Whole, he's made his work as he is still in P4, and now down the taking the inside line. Are they going to go side by side through Cop's corner? It looks like it. They settle remotely for single file. Knuckles, is he going to try a side-by-side move here through Magus and Beckus, maybe catch him napping? Does not appear to be the case. No sneaky sly move through Magus, Beckus, and Cops here. This race here around Silverstone, like I've seen in the past, being forced to the outside though around Stowe, but did not gain enough of a gap to close up and was not able to get this overtake done. Now, crucially, through this battling, Subtle But Whole is now 3.5 seconds behind VTech. So VTech, he is clear as he's starting lap 24. As long as he can keep it clean between now and the end of the race, this might be a double Red Bull podium here around Silverstone. You love to see that. But it's still, I wouldn't say a long race, but anything can happen between now and the end of the race is more what I'm trying to get to here, as Knuckles is still chasing down Subtle to try to get this P4 on track. But Subtle doing a fantastic defending job. He is using his ERS where he has to, nailing his corner exits and essentially making Knuckles making Knuckles' job that much more difficult. And Knuckles doesn't have much ERS to work with. Subtle But Whole doesn't have much of any ERS either, but it's a little similar. So it's gonna come down to pure pace here between the final few laps. But you gotta give props to this other Red Bull. We haven't spoken about him all that much since the dry tires came on. It's young DJ CJ. He did not have the race he was hoping for at all last week around Monaco. Just got caught in wrong places at wrong times, time and time again. This time, though, he is having a solid drive, and it is now his race to lose, essentially, between now and the end of the race, as he is on the penultimate lap. Chief Braze is in second. He's been consistent as all heck here around Silverstone, and he's got a solid P2 for him here on the penultimate lap. VTech now in third, trying to close up this gap, but I think third is possibly all you can ask for if you're VTech, given the time penalty and given the amount of laps left to try to catch up to P2. And subtle but whole, you had that podium, but unfortunately, I think those medium tires might not have been the best situation for him. Maybe the VSCs were not helping all that much either, but he's in fourth right now and holding off Knuckles as much as he can, where Knuckles is charging here as he is in P5, trying to snag this position here on lap 25, but he's going to have to gain a 3-second gap if that's the case. Not anymore, he doesn't, because Subtle But Whole takes a 3-second time penalty on the penultimate lap. So VTech is definitely clear now. Subtle But Whole, he is now maybe clenching his behind, I should say, clenching his username, I could say, a little bit tighter now, as he is on a same time penalty as Knuckles, and Knuckles, his eyes probably shot up, they probably lit up here, but he's got one lap to make it work. Can he do it? Subtle But Whole defending down the inside here, trying to break the toe into turn one. Here we go. It's the final lap of the Grand Prix around Silverstone. What a race it's been. And we're going to have a very exciting finish here for, at the very least, P4. The best of the rest outside of the podium. Is it going to be the McLaren? Is it going to be the AlphaTauri? The McLaren really wants those points. The AlphaTauri wants those points too. He's got DRS, but does not close up enough here on the final lap through his first attempt at DRS. But now, Knuckles, he's going to have to absolutely nail these next few corners. You got to get Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, Chapel. You've got to get it perfect if you want any chance at making this move into Stowe and down the hanger straight. Here we go. This is essentially where this position is going to come down to. Through Maggots, through Beckett's here, through Chapel. Where's the power? There's the power. Up the gears. Is it going to be enough here for Knuckles as young DJ CJ takes the victory here around Silverstone? Chief Braze in second as he comes close, but still a solid drive, solid podium. No overtake. He's going to try to launch a move down the outside into the final few corners. VTech gets the final podium. It's going to be a charge to the line. It's not going to be enough. And there you have it. Subtle But Whole in P4. Knuckles rounding out the top 5 with the best pones now being pressured a little bit by a back marker there. He will be crossing the line in P6. A Wild Maida, though, coming around here. He is in P7. GDB ends his race as he falls down a position. Money Matt is down, heading towards Stowe, but Houdini is chasing him down. But I think Houdini is going to get this position on penalties as it's heavy. The second Ferrari right behind takes another 3-second time penalty right at the end of the race for good measure. But there you have it. Those two drivers crossing the line. Houdini in 8th, Money Matt in 9th, and hits heavy just crossing the line now. Spaceman, the final driver to need to cross the line here. And there you have it. That has been the British Grand Prix. What a race that was. Fantastic showing from all the drivers. And I'm looking here. The best pones got crashed, then broke another wing, but good recovery. Fantastic drive from the best pones with all of that. And there we go. That is the podium. A little dance from young DJ CJ as he lifts the trophy. celebrates with the champagne. Congratulations, definitely well deserved on a track and a race like this one. So there we have it. That has been the British Grand Prix around Silverstone. One more time through the grid. Young DJ CJ from pole. He gets the win here for the Red Bull Racing team with Chief Braids in second and VTech from 13th up into third. What a drive there. Subtlebutt Hole in fourth. Knuckles in fifth. Excuse me. The Best Pones in sixth. A Wild Maida, Houdini, Money Matt, and It's Heavy rounding out the top 10. What a drive, though, from Money Matt from P20 to P9. I just noticed that. Fantastic work there. Spaceman, JG Fishing, Clogmonger, GDB, Mole Power Cowboy, Pocket Rocket, Chunky Corgi, K-Dog, Kaz, Guitar Maniac. They take the final few positions, but for some of those drivers, I know K-Dog was involved, Kaz was involved. They've got to leave this track feeling heartbroken after the disqualifications. That was essentially none of their doing. But we will have to move on. We will trek on there, and hopefully we can see a solid recovery drive for them. But let's move on over to the podium interviews. I'll jump into the showroom. I'll send the invites over to the podium and try to see if we can get a couple thoughts from the drivers after that very hectic, very, very exciting British Grand Prix. Alrighty, I've got the invites sent off. We'll see if we can get some drivers here into the party and get a little bit of insight. Let's put that Red Bull on the screen. The race-winning Red Bull here around Silverstone. But my, what a race that was. And like I said, very, very unfortunate as we've got young DJ CJ who jumped in. It's the race winner. Young DJ CJ, can you hear us at all?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. So I'm going to start off from pole position to winning the race here. Congratulations on the fantastic drive. But talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that very hectic British Grand Prix?
Well, the rain was kind of tough, and I got kind of greedy. Well, I actually went to the wrong gear, kind of spun out. But then I just had to keep my cool down, I would say, so I wouldn't make another mistake. And apparently when we went into the pits, I was kind of lucky that Chief Braids got held, so it gave me back pole. But yeah, it was pretty fun.
It's good, and that's actually something I wanted to ask, because I think I was looking at another battle on track when you were right around lap 12, I think it was, where you had what looked to be, well, a relatively commanding lead, and then all of a sudden I look back and you're all the way down in fourth or third and just being overtaken by, I think it was Pones there. So what had happened there with that? Was that just a mistake? Was there any incident involved?
No, it was just a mistake from my end. I went to the wrong gear. I downshifted to the wrong gear, and my car just went all over the place.
Oh, I see, but I mean, it was a solid recovery nonetheless, and you definitely made it work for you, and definitely sort of ran off with it after the dry tire stint. So congratulations on that. So I'll move over. Chief Braids, can you hear us at all?
Yeah, I got you guys. Can you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you. So from second on the grid to second on the track, a fantastic podium for you with the for yourself and the Williams team. So talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that race?
You know, I'm not normally very good in the rain, and when I saw that we had the forecast for a rainy race, I was a little disappointed. Noticed it was going to, they always say it's going to stop with like 10 minutes to go or something like that, and it seems like the weather's always a little off, so I gambled with a dry setup, and yeah, it worked out pretty well in the end. Stayed consistent throughout the race. Got a 5-second penalty during the safety car, so I'm gonna hope the Sooners will give that back to me. We will see.
There we go. We'll see. And that was something I did notice that in the race that it looked like you were a little bit in the wets. You were a little bit of a step behind, and I think you had mentioned that just struggling in the wets. I completely understand. I'm awful in the wets myself as a driver, but I want to ask if we were in the, let's say, full dry conditions for the entirety of the race, how confident do you think you would have felt of maybe getting that P1, getting that top step of the podium?
You know, I don't know. That's a tough call, or a tough question. A very good question. I'm spacing on P1's name right now. I was looking at it the entire time.
Young DJ CJ.
Yeah, young DJ CJ. So aside from his spin that he had mentioned, he's kept pretty much 4 or 5 seconds ahead of me the whole time. So, granted, he was on softs. If I would have gone on softs, maybe, but I think we're pretty well matched, and I don't know if I could have topped him. So he had a good race. He had a great race.
Alrighty, well, still, I mean, a P2 is fantastic, and I mean, if this is the kind of battling that we can see, I'm excited to see what's in store for the rest of the season here. But congratulations on the finish.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
No problem. And now, last but not least, we have VTech. VTech, can you hear us at all?
Yes, can you hear me?
Perfect. I can hear you here on the screen. So maybe not the best qualifying for you, starting down in 13th, but up 10 positions between the start in the race and the end of the race to get a fantastic podium and get the double podium for the Red Bull team. Talk us through it. What were your thoughts here after that British Grand Prix?
Well, first, I want to say it's all about patience and trying to keep it clean. On the first couple of laps, I was like P6, I think, and then there was a big accident, and I got from P6 to P18 because I took damage. I don't know what happened, but thanks to keep pushing and I guess good strategy, I guess it kept me to P3, I guess, but good communication too with my teammate, so I want to say that too.
Here we go. Happy to hear that. And it's something that I did want to ask. Were you feeling comfortable here in those weather conditions with the race, or did you just really find your stride once we hit the dry session?
I actually like this weather. Like I got no problem with this weather. Like I feel comfortable. I don't know how that explains it. So I actually stay later. That's how I got that position, because I stayed late. Even though it was dry on the track, I still have fresh tire from the accident that happened at the beginning of the race. So that helped me a lot too. Yep.
There you go. I mean, congratulations. Thank you for the input. Congratulations on the podium, and possibly a candidate for a driver of the week there after a drive like that. So congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
No problem. But I think that's just about to do it here for the stream. Fantastic race, fantastic driving, and was really happy to be a part of it and take y'all through it. Make sure to tune in though, same time, same place next week as we take to Sochi for what is going to be the Russian Grand Prix, and it's going to be a good one. You're not going to want to miss that. But until then, I've been Fallen Monkeys saying thank you so much for watching, and have yourselves a fantastic evening.